What if I told you that the country you fled to escape violence, oppression, and economic collapse, the place you believed would protect you, give you a future, and allow you to reunite with your family, is now putting your immigration application on hold? What if I told you that while some immigrants are finally getting relief, others are being told to wait longer, apply elsewhere, or worse, that their path to safety and stability in the United States has just been delayed, restricted, or even blocked completely? What if your dreams of a better life, of reuniting with loved ones, of working legally, of finding safety, were suddenly put on pause, not because of anything you did, but because of sweeping changes in immigration policy you didn't see coming? This is not hypothetical. This is not fear-mongering. This is real. This is happening right now. And if you are a Venezuelan national, if you have family in Venezuela, if you've been waiting for a USCIS decision, if you've applied for humanitarian relief, or if you're simply trying to navigate the immigration system amid constant policy shifts, then you need to listen very carefully, because what I'm about to tell you could change everything. This is Immigration News Today. I'm James, your trusted voice for breaking U.S. immigration updates. And today, we're diving into the good, the bad, and the deeply uncertain world of recent immigration policy changes. Specifically, when it comes to Venezuela, USCIS processing halts, potential immigration moratoriums, and new travel bans that are already affecting thousands of lives. Let's start with the most urgent and emotional part of this story, Venezuela. For years, Venezuelans have been fleeing one of the worst economic and humanitarian crises in modern history. Hyperinflation, political persecution, violence, hunger, disease. Millions have left their homes with nothing but the clothes on their backs, seeking refuge in other countries, including the United States. And for a brief moment, the U.S. government responded with compassion. In 2022, the Biden administration introduced humanitarian measures to help Venezuelans already in the U.S., including temporary protected status, or TPS, and a special humanitarian parole program that allowed 24,000 Venezuelans to come to the United States legally, with jobs, housing support, and a path to stability. But now, as of early 2024, that program has changed. USCIS has officially stopped accepting new applications for the Venezuelan Humanitarian Parole Program. That's right. The pathway that allowed thousands of Venezuelans to escape the crisis and rebuild their lives in America is no longer available. Applications submitted after the cutoff date are no longer being processed. For many families, that means the door that was cracked open just a little, just enough to let hope in, has now been slammed shut. And if you have loved ones still in Venezuela, or if you were planning to bring them here through this program, you need to understand what this means and what your options are now. Now, before you panic, let me be clear. If you already have a valid humanitarian parole approval under the Venezuelan program, nothing has changed for you. Your status is still valid. You are still allowed to live and work in the United States under the terms of your parole. But if you were waiting for your application to be approved, or if you were planning to apply now, you are out of luck, at least for now. USCIS has stated that it is no longer accepting new applications under this specific program, citing logistical challenges, capacity limits, and shifting immigration priorities. And while the Department of Homeland Security has not officially ended the program, the pause in processing is effectively a halt, and it's already affecting real families with real consequences. So, what does this mean for Venezuelans still trying to come to the U.S.? What does it mean for those already here on expired or soon-to-expire parole? What about TPS? What about other forms of relief? Let's break it down. Temporary protected status for Venezuelans is still in place. If you are a Venezuelan national already living in the United States and you applied for and were approved for TPS under the designation for Venezuela, you are still protected. Your work permit is still valid. You are still allowed to live and work in the U.S. without fear of deportation as long as you maintain your status and follow the rules. But, and this is a big but, TPS is not permanent. It is temporary, and unless the designation is renewed by the Secretary of Homeland Security, it could expire. That's why it's critical to stay on top of your TPS renewal deadlines, submit your paperwork on time, and track your case status using the official USCIS tools, including Case Status Online. You can check the status of your TPS application or EAD, Employment Authorization Document, by visiting uscis.gov/case status and using your receipt number. Do not wait until the last minute. Do not assume your renewal is automatic. The consequences of missing a TPS deadline can be devastating. Humanitarian parole for Venezuelans is still an option, but only through other pathways. While the specific 24,000 parole program has stopped accepting new applications, you may still be eligible for humanitarian parole through other means, such as family sponsorship, medical emergencies, or extreme hardship cases. But these pathways are limited, highly scrutinized, and require extensive documentation. If you believe you or a loved one qualifies, you need to speak with an immigration attorney or accredited representative immediately. Do not try to navigate these complex cases on your own. The stakes are too high. Now let's shift to the broader and even more alarming issue. Talk of a potential immigration moratorium. Yes, you heard that right. There are growing reports and leaked memos suggesting that the Biden administration, under intense political pressure, may be considering a temporary halt or moratorium on certain types of immigration. This is not an official policy yet. There is no executive order, no public announcement. But the whispers in Washington are getting louder, and the implications could be massive. A moratorium, even a temporary one, would mean a freeze on certain visa categories, green card processing, asylum applications, or even refugee admissions. It could mean delays in family reunification. It could mean longer wait times for employment-based green cards. It could mean that thousands of people who are already in line, people who have followed the rules, paid their fees, submitted their applications, and waited years, could suddenly be told to wait even longer, or worse, that their applications are being put on hold indefinitely. Now let me be clear, as of right now, there is no official immigration moratorium in place. USCIS is still processing green cards, visas, asylum applications, and citizenship cases. The immigration system is slow, yes, frustratingly, painfully slow, but it is still functioning. However, the political climate is shifting, elections are approaching, immigration is one of the most debated topics in Washington, and that means policies can change, quickly, quietly, and without warning. Which is why you need to stay informed. You need to track your case. You need to respond to USCIS notices on time. You need to know your rights. And you need to be ready to adapt if the rules change. Which brings us to the next major issue: travel bans and entry restrictions. While the original COVID-era travel bans have largely been lifted, new restrictions are emerging. This time, targeting specific regions, nationalities, and security concerns. The U.S. government continues to impose limitations on travel from certain countries due to terrorism concerns, political instability, or diplomatic tensions. If you are planning to travel internationally, especially if you are a green card holder, a visa holder, or someone in the process of adjusting status, you need to know whether your country is affected, whether you need additional documentation, and whether you are at risk of being denied re-entry. For example, green card holders traveling abroad for extended periods may face challenges returning to the United States. If you leave the U.S. for more than 6 months, or if you stay outside the country for a year or more without a re-entry permit, you could be questioned at the border about your intention to live in the U.S. permanently. In some cases, you could even be placed in secondary inspection, detained, or, in extreme cases, denied re-entry. That's why it's critical to apply for a re-entry permit if you need to leave the U.S. for an extended period, and to carry all necessary documents when traveling, including your green card, passport, and any supporting evidence of ties to the United States. And if you are applying for a visa to come to the United States, whether it's a tourist visa, a student visa, or a work visa, you need to be aware of the latest updates to the visa bulletin, the latest interview requirements, and the latest restrictions that could affect your eligibility. Processing times are longer than ever. Interviews are backlogged, and in some cases, visa applications are being denied for reasons that seem minor, but are actually tied to broader policy shifts or security concerns. So, what can you do to protect yourself in this uncertain environment? How can you navigate the immigration system when the rules seem to change overnight? Here's what I recommend. And these are not just tips. These are essential steps every immigrant, visa applicant, green card holder, and citizenship applicant should be taking right now. 1. Always check official government sources. When in doubt, go to USCIS.gov, DHS.gov, or travel.state.gov. Do not rely on social media, rumors, or unofficial websites. The government websites will always have the most accurate and up-to-date information. 2. Track your case using USCIS case status online. Whether you've applied for a green card, a visa, or citizenship, you can check the status of your application 24/7 by visiting USCIS.gov case status and entering your receipt number. This tool will show you whether your case is pending, approved, or requires additional action. 3. Respond to USCIS notices immediately. If you receive a request for evidence or RFE or a notice of intent to deny or NOID, treat it like an emergency. Missing a deadline can lead to a denial, a delay, or even the closure of your case. Respond on time with all requested documents and double-check your submission. 4. Stay on top of visa bulletin updates. If you're waiting for a priority date to become current, especially for family-based or employment-based green cards, check the monthly visa bulletin published by the Department of State. It will tell you where your category stands and when you might be eligible to apply for adjustment of status or an immigrant visa. 5. Prepare for your immigration interview. Whether it's for a green card, citizenship, or asylum, your interview is one of the most important steps in the process. Review your application thoroughly, bring all requested documents, dress appropriately, and practice answering questions clearly and honestly. 6. Know your travel rights and restrictions. If you're a green card holder, understand the rules about leaving and re-entering the United States. If you're applying for a visa, know whether your country is subject to any travel restrictions or additional screening measures. 7. Seek legal help when you need it. Immigration law is complex. The stakes are high, and one mistake can cost you your case, your status, or even your ability to stay in the United States. If you're unsure about your situation, if you've received a scary letter from USCIS, or if you need help navigating a complicated process, talk to a licensed immigration attorney or accredited representative. Don't go it alone. Now, let's end where we began, with hope. Because despite the uncertainty, despite the delays, despite the fear, the American immigration system is still functioning. People are still getting green cards. Families are still being reunited. Asylum seekers are still finding protection. Citizenships are still being granted. And with the right information, the right preparation, and the right guidance, you can navigate this system, even in turbulent times. So, if this video helped you, please take a moment to like it, share it with someone who needs to hear this, subscribe to Immigration News Today, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. And please, leave a comment below. Tell me what immigration questions you have, what topics you want us to cover next, because your voice matters, your future matters. And together, we can cut through the noise, expose the truth, and help you achieve the American dream, safely, legally, and with confidence. Stay strong, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.